For the ones who make over $150K a year, what do you do to get that? Story 1. So this doesn't help anyone, but it certainly fits. I worked sales for a company that sold ATMs. We hired a new guy first week on the job, a Chinese bank cold call him, and order no joke 20K ATMs. The dude got his bonus check and quite. He make over 200K that year. Os LOL. Story 2. Honestly, the fastest way to get there is to job hop. I'm older, and there is no longer a reward for long-term employment. Pensions aren't a thing anymore, and employers don't give a shit to retain you. Leverage a new job for better pay. Also, don't be afraid to apply for jobs where you don't meet 100% of the qualifications. Those things are a wish list for employers, and I recommend you shoot your shot. Story 3. Went back to school at 27 for electrical engineering. After I graduated, I felt like I had the momentum to keep going, so I got my master's. I was able to land 3 different internships starting about my junior year, which helped gain me some experience in the field. Graduated at 34 and landed a job at Apple. Been here ever since. Story 4. Lawyer here making $520-$550K, $390K base salary, and $130-$160K in bonus. My pay is very standard for a lawyer at a large corporate firm, as big law lawyers are paid in lockstep for the first 7-8 years. I have 5 years of experience, and essentially every other 6th-year lawyer at a large firm in a major U.S. city makes the same amount I do. Takes way more of my time than I'd like, but it's exciting and pays well. Story 5. Just out of curiosity, and for anyone replaying here that makes over 150K, do you work insane hours to get that 55/60 plus hours, OT? Would be crazy to think that you make that much and basically just punch the clock at an even 40 hours. There's definitely something to be said for work-life balance, even if making 6 figures. Edit. Thank you to all who have replied. Not gonna lie, I'm jealous as fuck, but awesome to hear that most of you have an overall good work-life balance without too many crazy hours. As for me, I will likely have to work until I'm 95, and you will probably find me wearing a blue vest and handing out stickers to little kids at the front entrance of a Walmart or something for some paltry wage LOL. Story 6. $230K annual base salary. General counsel at an industrial manufacturing and construction company. That means I'm a lawyer and head of the legal department for a fairly big company. I've been a lawyer for almost 9 years and done multiple kinds of law. That has allowed me to skip a few steps. But I'm also damn good at what I do and work my ass off. The only lawyers I know that are happy are in-house lawyers like me, and some prosecutors, but they get paid shit. But not everyone gets lucky enough to go in-house. If you're thinking about law, I would highly recommend that you reconsider. Do medicine, software, cybersecurity, or if you're hot, be a sugar baby, I guess. JK, don't do that. But anything but law. Edit. For those asking why not law, it starts with school. Everyone at law school was the smartest kid in every one of their classes, from elementary school through college. Everyone. Then you got from that to being maybe middle of the pack. A nobody. And it's super fucking cutthroat to get even there. But you learn to think like a lawyer. That is, be a super obnoxious and hypercritical overthinker. Then you get to a law firm or a government job or whatever, and it turns out law school taught you very little, if anything, about being a lawyer. But you're expected to know or learn the rules and start billing time or charging people with crimes or protecting kids from abusive parents or some other super fucking heavy thing at 25 years old. Don't get me wrong, I take a tremendous amount of pride in it. But imagine, if you will, keeping track of everything you do in 6-minute increments to get to 150 hours worth of billable hours of work a month. You can never get ahead. At very best, you are caught up until the first of the month when you are 150 hours behind again. It takes you 200 plus hours of actual work to get to 150 or 160 of billable time. This is not an exaggeration in any sense. Imagine also being the only thing between your client and 10 years in prison, or losing their home, or losing their business or kids. In my situation, I am constantly on the lookout for problems and watching for things that may become problems. For my entire company, the mental burden is a lot. I am a borderline alcoholic and am only now learning to take care of myself again. It's been a long road and I'm on the right side of it now. But there were times when I could have easily not made it to tomorrow, if you catch my drift. Story 7. High school teacher. But I work in a HCEOL area, have over a decade of experience, a master's degree, 75 plus hours of continuing education credits, and I'm working a 1.2 inches this year, meaning I gave up my prep period and teach 6 classes instead of 5 and get 20% extra pay. All that puts me just barely above $150K for the 24-25th school year. Presumably next year they'll only need me to teach 5 classes and I'll be back under $150K. Also, I get paid a little more in cash than many nearby districts, but my district doesn't provide health insurance, so I have to buy it on my state's exchange. Story 8. I sell websites to small businesses. I have a whole agency with SEO guys and developers and designers. I sell $150 a month subscriptions for a website and unlimited edits. I have about 85 clients in various packages, and the rest is lump sum jobs for $3,500 minimum. Currently on track to do $180K this year. No WordPress either, all custom coded. It's a nice living. Story 9, I did it the boring way, working 9-5 over the course of a few years. Focus on a niche and sell yourself up each step of the way. 2016, $50K entry-level sales job out of college. 2018, $75K, switched to a different company doing the same thing with larger deals. 2019, $95K, promoted supervisor. 2020, $105K, poached for corporate role at the same company because I was familiar with the mechanics of how salespeople interacted with the internal tools and sold the product. 2021, $135K, promoted in corporate role. 2022, $150K, switched to a different company doing the same thing, less bonus. 2023, $175K, switched roles at company. 2024, $200K, joined a larger company. Key thing is, I never switched industries and stuck with it when it was bad. So I learned the business at the beginning, then the systems, then watched how the industry changes over time, and then finally how money is made when things are bad. Things that worked for me. Have a short-term goal and tell people. Half of the battle is just telling your leaders what you want, so when the opportunity comes that matches your goal that you shared, they think of you. Caveat, do the role you were hired for effectively first, then keep searching for yes. I got told no at some point at every progression, so I found someone who would advocate for me and say yes. If it wasn't happening, I would then look for a company that would say yes. It's not exciting and it may not work. However, I still think this approach has the highest odds with lowest risk. You got to take that bet on yourself and put yourself out there. Good luck. Story 10. I only made $150K/year hourly as a contractor. Hired on, it only approaches that with total comp. But they have one 401K match and the company rocks, so I'm comfortable. Applications developer, Salesforce, fully remote, work from home. If I wanted to leave and make $150K plus base with my experience, I imagine it would be quite trivial. But my company is awesome, and so are my coworkers, and I can't tell you how much money I'd sacrifice for that. If you can learn how to code, you probably can. There is a fuck ton of money people will pay you to do relatively easy jobs. Well, it's not easy. Developer work can get exceedingly stressful. But as someone who used to make $12.50 HR, nothing is more stressful than a 9 to 5 with 3 hours of commute that forces you to stay conscious through menial tasks for 8 hours and stay conscious of your bank account if you ever want to order a pizza or buy a video game console. I'll gladly put in 12, 15-hour workdays and occasionally grind over weekends to avoid ever being forced to do that shit again. Edit. I commonly do 12, 15-hour workdays, LOL. It's just a quirk of the job. I'm salaried, so some days I work 5 hours, some days 10, some days I don't do jack shit, and occasionally deadlines, production fires mean I'm working into the AM. I typically love my hours, though. I did work one job where I was constantly working into midnight on the regular. It didn't work out, and yes, it's unhealthy. Very poorly communicated, but I think my point was that I feel like most jobs that pay less than mine are significantly more time and energy consuming. At least certainly every job I had before becoming a developer. Story 11. I scrolled for a little while, surprised I didn't see anybody else say they started their own service business. I do junk removal and snow removal, Canada. I've been in business 2.5 years. I grossed over $200K in 2023. I work 4 days a week during the summer, and generally only when it snows during the winter. Sometimes busier than that, sometimes less busy. On track to make maybe $250K this year. Story 12. Lawyer, but I advise anyone who asks not to go into law. My wife is a specialist dentist making about 4x what I do, and she works 4 days a week with tons of vacation time. If our kids are driven, I will absolutely advise them to go into dentistry and own their own practice. Dentists make excellent money. Owners of dental practices, which in many states are also required to be dentists, make bank. Story 13. I buy underperforming businesses with certain problems I know how to solve. Then I solve the problems. Usually this means the company becomes profitable. Sometimes I'll sell the business. Other times I'll hold on to it for a while. I fire the HR department, the Karens and the complainers. I fire a lot of project managers. The company is left with only its essential people who are worth keeping. Then I raise the salaries of those who remain. They perform better. Eventually, I sell the companies for 10, 15x what I paid for them. Sometimes the company will regress after I've sold it, and I'll be called back in to solve problems that resurfaced. For example, one company rehired a Karen type in HR after I forced her out and automated her job functions. So I fired her again. Then I fired the incompetent people she hired while I wasn't around. Then I fired the people they hired. Amazingly, and to everyone's surprise except mine, the company became profitable again, and everyone working there got huge bonuses. And now I'm their corporate babysitter, that is, controlling shareholder once again. Story 14, HR director for tribally owned cannabis company. We're seed to sale, meaning we grow it, package, and sell the cannabis. Base salary is $110K with a 25% bonus based on company's performance, so I'm close to the 150. I'm an enrolled member of the Native American tribe, so we also get per capita earnings from a couple of casinos we run, which puts me over the 150K. Story 15. I'm going to join the software engineer bucket, but I want to explain how I got here because it's perhaps a different path than most people in this industry took. As a child, I was obsessed with computers. I had a junior high school computer teacher who would let us play games in the morning for 30 minutes before school. But if you got there before that and wanted to sit at a computer, he required you be doing work, which in his class meant writing BASIC. To practice the games we had in class, my old computer at home couldn't run. I had to write clones of them ... in BASIC. Then I got a fancy new computer at 13, which was immediately made obsolete when the Pentium came out 6 months later. I was obsessed with downloading music files, MOD, S3M, pre-MP3 formats, from BBSEs, but one day I downloaded an MP3 and my computer wasn't fast enough to play it. So, I started experimenting with alternate operating systems. DOS MP3 players weren't fast enough. Linux was fun and new, but also not quite fast enough. FreeBSD with MPG 123 finally let me listen to Prodigy, Voodoo People, MP3 for the first time, but then I had a computer with FreeBSD. This was the dawn of the first age of internet mass adoption, so I needed AOL Instant Messenger, ICQ, and a web browser to talk to my friends. I had to learn how to set up dial-up networking, my sound card, my video drivers, and then ICQ and AIM didn't exist, so I had to learn how to write C so I could make my own command line clients for those. Some of that code made it into game. Went to college, had autism, ADHD, dropped out. Got a job doing tech support. Boss quickly figured out I was also able to manage servers. Was promoted to sysadmin, paid $15/H in 2002. Kept writing code to automate myself to not having to do anything during my sysadmin job. 2003 to 2010 or so, capped out at $90K/YR, averaged about $60K. This became a new career ladder called Site Reliability Engineering. Moved jobs, 2011, $144K. Later, SRE became a specialization of SWE software engineer. Through the past few jobs, I make over $200K now. Now I write code for a living. Tech for me was never about a goldmine. It was just a passion that I found that happened to make money. I still look around and am surprised I'm not in a trailer park writing code for 5 people I know who really want a fancy new scripting engine for IRC chats. Story 16, I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I specialize in cloud security and security architecture. I was a web developer beforehand. I kind of failed upwards to a full-stack engineering position, then jumped over to security to be a DevOps engineer for a security engineering team that was starting a new practice within an established MSP. Since then, the role has expanded significantly as well as the scale of the systems I've built. I'm really proud of where I'm at right now and for the future. I don't have my bachelor's degree, but did 3 years at an elite American university as a data science major before I got burned out. So I'm educated, just not credentialed. However, soon I will be obtaining my CISSP, which is the gold standard for cybersecurity leadership. I may pursue a bachelor's later on at a place like WGU. We'll see. Story 17 on behalf of my dad. He makes around $200K, $250K a year. He's got to be one of the top paid welders in Texas. He gets paid an hourly rate. On top, his truck gets paid hourly as well. And then he gets a set per diem daily. When I realized that his truck made more than me, I was shocked. My first week working, I made around $1,800. I was surprised to see that his truck alone made my whole check. Story 18. Sell my soul to healthcare and neglect the only things I care about in the name of things I care about. Not worth it. I'm on the patient side now, and I realize how people are able to make so much money in this field. I had a 15-minute intake, just asked basic questions, and I was charged $960. The facility I went to also insures me. Somehow the company denied to pay for it. Absolutely ridiculous situation. Story 19. I'm a sales trainer for a finance company. No degree, no prior experience, background in the service industry, work about 45 HRS a week, started on the sales floor and worked my way into the trainer position. Honestly, being a decent communicator is rare and has value. Sales is an amazing launchpad if you're looking to get out of what feels like a dead-end job. Story 20. Write music. And I specify write because I'm a touring artist too, but the pay is nowhere near as good and way more demanding. I need to be on the road 10 months a year to hit 100K, but if you're good at networking and promoting your shit, you basically only need one decent song for a decent artist, and you're set for the year. Most of us in the field just fucking love what we do though, and might take 100 songs until you've built up the reputation to regularly get BA-level artists asking for you. My point is, more than writing is so much easier money-wise than performing and touring for much less work. Last year, I toured for 6 months and made some 70K. I wrote some 30 songs over the same time period, which overall took me some 10-20 HRs per song. Sold 10 of them, released 15 myself. Of those, 3 of them hit the charts as partial or full writing credits, and just those 3 netted me close to 200K, and that's income in perpetuity. Just those same 3 songs will pay me some 50% of previous year's sales each year. So 100K 2025, 50K in 2026, 25K 2027. Gross overestimating, but that's generally the pattern. Like most fields in art, it's incredibly hard to break through, but fairly easy to get consistent work once you're in. Story 21. I made dashboards for CEOs of some of the biggest companies in the world. Retired at 31, and now I drink roughly 20 beers a day in Vietnam. If you want the real answer, I was good at communicating between business, sales, marketing, legal teams, and development teams, programmers, designers, engineers. It turns out that business people and technical people are like oil and water, and if you can speak both languages, they will pay you an obscene amount of money to facilitate meetings in between your blitz chess games. If you want to know how I got there, I started as a SQL monkey turned data analyst turned strategy consultant who just analyzed data with a fancier title. The big money came when I became a product manager, which was the easiest and least fulfilling job of my career, paying upward of 160K/year. About the dashboards. No matter what my role or responsibility was, I always found opportunities to distill good information to my boss's boss in a way they could act on it. Make things easier for the big guys, and they will remember you, regardless of your day job. Story 22. This will be a boring response. Got a BS, Mississippi, and PhD in geology. Did an internship at Chevron 16 years ago. Hired on at almost that amount. I tell them where to drill the next oil gas well, making almost double that amount now. Well over if I cash my stock options in a couple of years. Go to school, boys and girls. Find something that gets you amped in the morning. Keep doing it. It won't be nearly as fun in 15 years, but it will pay the bills and then some if you're truly interested and successful. Story 23. I work a very niche government job with an agency that does not get its funding from congressional appropriations. Therefore, we have our own pay scale. I make $235K, and most of my peers in the same job outside of government are probably in the $80K, $90K range. Normally, I have a pretty good work-life balance, but sometimes it's 60-hour weeks like this week is turning out to be. Story 24. You can make that doing drywall and or painting if you are any good and in the right market. My buddy in Florida made $300K in 1 year, but he worked a lot of 7-day weeks. I did okay with it, but spent most of my funds on tools and worked a lot less than him. But I'm 50 and not trying to work that hard. You have to be a badass and work hard to get it, but definitely doable. Also, any tradespeople can make 150K plus due to there being a massive shortage of younger people getting into the trades. Story 25. Sales engineer for a software company. Basically, I go on a few sales calls a week with a salesperson and demo our products and answer questions. It's a pretty chill job, but requires a somewhat uncommon combo of people and technical skills. But I work from home 99% of the time, and I maybe work 12 to 20 HRS a week. I play a lot of golf and work out and woodwork in between calls. It's an awesome gig, and I don't have much incentive to get promoted or switch jobs. Story 26. Nothing. It's all passive at this point. When I was 12, my parents put 25K in an ETF, and I was adding about 1K a month ever since. With the dividends and average 18% return a year, it closed out a hefty sum. Now most of it's invested in solid dividend stocks, and I just drive my Ducati like a madman because I'm so fucking bored. Plus, my wife makes about 220K as a product manager for an apparel brand. Honestly, though, the more money you make, the more boring life is. Once you travel the world and eat at a bunch of Michelin star restaurants, your friends all hate you. And I feel like the only enjoyment I get out of loaf is doing something illegal.